In this video, we are going to answer the question, what is targeted grazing? Targeted grazing, also known as prescription grazing, is the application of livestock grazing or browsing at a specified season, duration, and intensity to accomplish specific vegetation management goals or to meet site restoration objectives. Targeted grazing follows 5 grazing management principles. Let's say that you are trying to set up a targeted grazing plan. First, what kind of animal are you going to use? Cattle, goats, or sheep? Second, how many animals are you planning to use? You are going to have to calculate the stocking rate, which is the number of animals you can have on a piece of land for a certain period of time. It can be expressed as animal unit month. Third, for how long do you want the livestock to be on that land? This is going to be linked to the number of animals, the available forage, and your objectives. Fourth, when are you planning to do your targeted grazing? Depending on the vegetation you're trying to eliminate, timing is very important. You want to have grazing before the plants can produce seeds. And last but not least, how are you going to distribute your animals? You have to think about where you are going to put your water, how often you are going to move your livestock, and where you are going to provide supplements such as salt or minerals. Now, let's answer the question, why use targeted grazing? You may want to use it to reduce unwanted weeds, which can benefit desirable vegetation by reducing competition. You may want to improve habitat for threatened and endangered species, such as fish, birds, reptiles, mammals, and plants. You may also want to control fuel's load in risky situations by creating a fuel break to prevent a potential wildfire. Let's look at the products of targeted grazing. Your cattle, sheep, or goats are going to produce meat, milk, leather, wool, and manure. But the management of the plant communities is the primary product of targeted grazing. Let's look at the products of livestock grazing. Your cattle, sheep, or goats are going to manage the plant communities. But the livestock products, such as meat, milk, leather, wool, and manure, are the primary products of livestock grazing. There are 3 basic steps to consider when you are developing a grazing prescription. First, you have to select the kind or breed of animal. Second, you have to select the correct time, intensity, and frequency of grazing. Third, you need to incorporate prescription grazing into an ecologically based integrated weed management program. So now, if we look at the first step, select the kind or breed of animal. Goats are known as concentrate feeders because they are browse for plant eaters. They have small selective mouths and a large liver for detoxification. They require fencing or a herder to control them. And they are susceptible to predators, so they need livestock guardian dogs to protect them. For example, goats can reduce juniper and oak. Sheep are known as intermediate feeders because they are forb grass eaters. They also have a small selective mouth and a large liver for detoxification. Like the goats, they need good fences or a herder, and they are susceptible to predators. For example, sheep can reduce leafy spurge and shitgrass. Cows are known as roughage feeder because they are grass forb eaters. They have large and strong mouths and a large rumen for fermentation. They can digest fiber very well. In addition to grazing, they can also be used to trample target vegetation. They are easy to contain and sell and are not as susceptible to predators. For example, cattle can reduce red brome and lemon lovegrass. We just talked about species differences, but there are also breed differences. Some cattle breeds might eat a certain plant that another cattle breed won't eat. That is when you may hear about naive cattle versus adapted cattle. It is very important for ranchers to have livestock that are adapted to their environment because it will make the animals more efficient on the rangelands. The second step is that you have to choose the season when to graze. To be effective, unwanted weeds need to be grazed before they go to seed. Timing matters because weeds are more susceptible to grazing during their green up when the palatability is high. You need to select low or high intensity of grazing to be able to reach your objectives. Also, several treatments might be necessary because of the seed bank. Third step, integration of targeted grazing with other control methods. A combination of treatments might provide a better control than any treatment alone. You can do grazing with herbicides or grazing with prescribed burning or grazing with insects. In conclusion, let's look at the benefits and costs of targeted grazing. For the benefits, it can be more desirable than herbicides and fire. There are no pesticide residues, so it is more environmentally friendly. It is generally less expensive than mechanical herbicides and fire. It reduces weed competition to allow natives to come back. It converts weeds into a sellable product. It is feasible in rough terrain, contrary to some of the other control methods. For the costs, there is the cost of animals and equipment such as fencing, water, herders, and traders. It can be difficult to find animals. It may reduce animal production. There is a potential damage to non-target species or habitats. Weed seeds can be spread in feces, wool, hair, or hooves. It may be incompatible with some wildlife species. It takes time, skill, knowledge, flexibility, and an open mind. Hopefully, this video brought you some basic knowledge on targeted grazing. Thank you for watching.